Hi, my name is Tyler Dennis. This is Alewife Farm in Kingston, New York. We are a diverse vegetable operation, currently cultivating about 25 acres, mainly for wholesale. We are a kind of an uncertified organic farm, and we're very focused on root crops, especially carrots. This year I bought the Univerco harvester, which is behind me, the Mini-Veg harvester, which is kind of the Univerco company, which is Canadian. It's kind of their like entry-level single row root crop harvester. I've had the farm for 8 years. I've always been interested in carrots, especially root crops generally, and we've kind of gradually increased our level of mechanization with carrots specifically. We used to harvest entirely by hand, and then in 2017 I bought our first mechanized root harvester, which is a Scott Viner combine, which is built for carrots and beets. And that was an amazing machine that I just sold this year. That was really kind of a paradigm shift on the farm in terms of the volume that we could effectively harvest and process of carrots with a relatively small labor input. And then this year I decided to shift from the Scott Viner to the Univerco harvester, and there are a lot of ways in which the Univerco runs a little bit differently than the Scott Viner and has kind of subtle benefits, but the biggest thing is the labor savings. So the Scott Viner, the way that we were running it, and there are a lot of different ways to kind of have it set up, basically it would take 4 people to operate. There would be one person driving the tractor, pulling the machine, one person operating the machine, another person driving a tractor, pulling a wagon, and then we would have a person on the wagon kind of helping to facilitate the carrots falling off of the side elevator into the bulk bins. With the Univerco, I can do basically the same process but alone, which has been kind of a crazy, additional paradigm shift for the farm in terms of labor savings. So when we were hand harvesting, if conditions are good, I think like ballpark, 3 people can fill a bulk bin of topped loose carrots in like 90 minutes or more. And now when I'm out with the Univerco Mini-Veg, if the conditions are reasonable, I can fill a bulk bin working alone in about 12 to 15 minutes. So in terms of labor hours for harvest, the savings is like a factor of 20 or more. And there are a lot of different ways you can get it configured, but the way that we have it set up, it was about a $50,000 purchase, so a pretty big investment. But we do grow relatively a lot of carrots this year. We put in about 13 acres. It's made things easier in a lot of ways. I mean, for one thing, it's a lot easier for me to coordinate the harvest if I don't need additional staff to do it. And as the farm has shifted in more of a wholesale direction, our crew has gotten a lot smaller. We used to have a crew of about 16 people on the farm like 3 years ago when we were mainly focused on markets and restaurants. Now we're pretty much doing all wholesale, and the crew is really just me and about 4 part-time people. So it gives me a lot more flexibility in terms of when I can harvest the carrots without having to coordinate with the crew. The harvester is a lot better at working even in less than ideal conditions, which is a very important piece. As we've kind of scaled up our carrot operation, the harvest labor is really only one phase. So there's also, weed control and then wash pack are the 2 big other areas of human labor in the carrots. So we've tried to kind of gradually evolve our cultivation process to more or less cut out hand weeding. And this is the first year that I really kind of went all in on that approach. And it proved to be a pretty challenging weed year. So in the end, our biggest carrot planting got quite weedy, but the harvester that I'm using is still able to do a very good job, which is really kind of a life-saving thing at this point in the season. This year we're using it like almost only for carrots. I'm using it a little bit for beets. Next year I think we'll kind of broaden the range of root crops that we're going to try it with. But carrots are what we have the biggest market for, and kind of what we're most focused on generally. So the Univerco Mini-Veg, it's a single row top pulling root harvester. So the way that it works is there's a steel kind of shoe that goes underneath the carrots and pushes them up out of the ground just a little bit. At that point, the tops of the carrots come in between these two silver long cones and get grabbed by this double belt. The carrots go up the harvester. They meet a set of rotating, very blunt blades that cut off the tops. When the carrots get topped, they fall onto a conveyor that brings them behind the tractor, and then the conveyor drops them into a bulk bin on the other side. Kind of the basic thing that is very functional about the machine for me is that all of the operations can be controlled from the tractor seat by one person. Including the bulk bin at the end has a set of pallet forks, so I can raise and lower. I can drop off a bin when it's filled and pick up a new bin and just keep going all without getting up. And then compared to other harvesters of kind of a similar design, like the Scott Viner operates, basically the same way. The Univerco has a few little bells and whistles that are very helpful. One of which is the picker points on the front have a hydraulic hookup that constantly outwardly rotates them, which keeps the pickers from getting clogged with greens and debris as you're moving along. It has these kind of knocker bars, which are sort of the first step in helping to remove soil from the carrots, and that's a really important thing. The wash pack process is now kind of our biggest actual source of labor in the carrot crop. So keeping as much of the soil as we can in the field is really important. And this machine is very good at removing soil from the carrots, even in weedy conditions and when it's not like perfectly dry. And we have a fairly clay soil here, so it often will stick to the carrots a lot. But it does a pretty good job. And then we come around the back. The carrots come up through the belts right here. You can see the two rotating sets of dull blades right here, and then the tops. And any weeds that come up with the carrots are kind of expelled out of the back. The carrots drop onto the conveyor inside here. The next thing that's kind of unique about the Univerco is that underneath the conveyor right at this point is a shake motor that like bounces the conveyor up and down as the carrots are being harvested to try to knock as much soil off as possible. This little shield is something that I put on so that I could turn the shake motor like all the way up to kind of maximize how much soil is getting removed without having the carrots bounce out of the conveyor. And then there's a platform on the back. You can also have a person or two people standing behind the machine removing soil clods by hand. This is the bulk bin carrots fall into, and then there's a set of pallet forks here that I can drop off the bulk bin and pick up a new one, all while staying on the tractor seat. So it's really a one-person operation. For people who are interested in purchasing one, I think Univerco is a great company. They're very responsive. They've been super helpful in helping me figure out how to use it. how to get it kind of dialed in. It's a pretty big purchase, so I think you need to weigh carefully how important root crops are to what you're doing. For me, carrots are our biggest focus, and also currently, as we're kind of adapting our sales outlets from more retail to more wholesale, finding ways to decrease our labor costs on the farm is very important. So I think it's been a sound purchase in that sense.